So the best way to develop your compositional toolbox is to study music, study other composers, successful experiences of other creators in how music can be effective especially within visual media. I mean, I composed music I wrote a viola concerto, so I wasn't thinking so much about visual media during that process. But I think it is critical to study other composers. And yet, it's also critical not to be locked in by what other composers do, is to be open to what you might call an epiphany in terms of how can I synthesize all of this music that I've taken in over my life experience and come out with some new thing. One thing that is critical these days is that you have to be thoroughly comfortable and competent with the technology. I started out in the paper and pencil era. I sat at a piano when I first started writing music for television, and I had a television set on the top of my piano and VHS player, and would play against picture and write notes on the paper, and that went to the copyist, and we went to the scoring stage. But that process has radically changed, and really so much of the music that we're hearing nowadays is almost completely synthesized and sampled. That does not mean that there's not opportunities to write for orchestra. There are, and orchestra is still an extraordinary tool. Perhaps my favorite part of the process is when I get the opportunity to write for and get my music recorded by an orchestra, and I'm very fortunate to have that occur frequently. That said, my scores still have a lot of content that is not performed by the orchestra, that is in fact created within the box or within the computer. It is very important for a composer, especially someone starting now, to be competent and to understand these technologies and to use them to their best possible use. Some film and video game scores that I think you should listen to. Obviously, there's some fantastic film scores out there, and there are literally hundreds of great film scores. The one that comes right to the top of my mind is Tom Newman's score for Shawshank Redemption. I think it's absolutely it's a great movie, a fantastic movie, and a brilliantly scored film. I think John Williams films, almost every film that John Williams has scored, I think could be a masterclass in learning how to score picture. The thing that John Williams brings to the table from a composer's perspective is not only does he score each scene perfectly, but he also manages to write brilliant music at the same time. So that's a trick that many composers do not accomplish. They may actually score picture, they may have some really cool ambient sound that works and creates the right mood or whatever, but John Williams manages to write great music at the same time. But he never subordinates picture to his music. The music, at least from my perspective, the music always beautifully and perfectly fits picture, and then he manages to write brilliant stuff underneath it. Jerry Goldsmith, I'm going to some of the great classics. I'm a huge fan of Jerry Goldsmith's music. Jerry was brilliant also at playing picture and also writing gorgeous, beautiful, effective music. Bernard Herrmann. I think James Newton Howard and Tom Newman are both masters of scoring. So there's just literally thousands of scores to listen to. As far as game music, I mean, there are a lot of great game scores. I think Austin Wintory has written, like, his score for Journey is absolutely lovely, gorgeous. I think you might enjoy some of my scores, like the scores for BioShock 1, 2, and 3. Those I think are pretty interesting scores and worth at least considering a listen to. So I mean, there's just thousands and thousands of great scores. In terms of games, the scores sometimes are better than the game, and vice versa, and I think that's true of film music. So in a way, you have to balance that, finding really, really great music versus necessarily the best games.